And I realized that, there's no point judging anyone. Who knows what I'd do in that situation? I think at some point we have to just stop running away and accept who we are. He is a boy with cerebral palsy and he is a very good actor. He's never faced the camera before this. The way he responded to everything, it's almost like acting is instinctive for him.
So hello dosto, welcome to the Bollywood talk show on IWMBuzz. This is your host Shubhajit. Once again, the smile on my face says it all. I'm very, very excited, just like every other time, to have my favorite, absolute favorite Vidya Balan ma'am over here. First of all, ma'am, a big hug. How are you doing?
Thank you. A big hug right back at you. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good as well, ma'am. I'm good as well. I saw the film just 2 hours before I'm doing this chat because I wanted to be in that zone,
right,
before I chat with you. And I feel it's really, nerve-wracking, I would say unsettling, एक अलग ही goosebumps तरीका देने वाला एक kind of vibe I got from this. What I want to know from your end is that I saw in another interview, you said that you were not really sure, you were not really having the guts to go ahead with this kind of a character. Like you have gone ahead with some really bold characters in the past, which have been trendsetters in their own right. So I want to understand the psyche when you say you have not had the guts to initially choose this.
I think the characters that I've done in the past still evoke empathy. Whereas when I read Jalsa, or when Suresh Triveni narrated Jalsa to me, and I thought, oh my God, this is such a brilliant script. But Maya Menon, it's very easy to judge Maya Menon, to not have empathy for her, which is why I think I was a bit, I had my apprehensions. But then, of course, the pandemic happened and that changed everything. That changed the way I began to see life. And I realized that, there's no point judging anyone. Who knows what I'd do in that situation? Because the pandemic revealed a new side of us to ourselves, and therefore, I think I went back to Suresh and I said, I'd like to reread it, and I did it. And I'm so glad I did it. But I think I did it at a time when I was ready to embrace parts of me that probably would not evoke empathy from others. But I have empathy for those parts of me today, which is why I could play Maya Menon.
Yeah. The character of Maya Menon, it has its own ups and downs in the way it comes out. Initially it comes out as a very confident personality, very sure about what she's doing in her own job, kind of a little maybe a snobbish as well. Jo usko karna hai, she has to get it done in whatever way. And then one incident happens, and her entire confidence goes down, her entire body language goes down. Because of this, what I want to know from your end is that accidents can happen in whatever form. This was a different intensity altogether, but haadse ho hi sakte, it's very common in anybody's life. Kisi ke saath bhi ho sakta hai. So how do we ensure ki, we come out of that guilt? I know it's very difficult, easier said than done, but how can we try to come out of that guilt in order to be the person that we were before the incident happened? Do you think there's a way we can do that?
I don't think you can be who you were before the incident happened, because it's a very definitive incident.
Yeah.
The accident alters not just her self-image, it alters her life. And not just hers, the lives of so many people. It has a domino effect. Look at the kind of मतलब जो इस इंसिडेंट से कनेक्टेड भी नहीं है, ऑब्वियसली कनेक्टेड नहीं है, उनकी जिंदगियों पर भी असर पड़ता है. तो ये I don't think anyway, when we are changing on a day-to-day basis, I don't think I am who I was yesterday. And if you go through something like this, then it's impossible. And how do you come to terms with your guilt? I think at some point we have to just stop running away and accept who we are. But having said that, it's easier said than done, because you're so scared of all that you might lose, all that you're at the risk of losing. तो यहाँ बैठ के मैं बहुत कुछ कह सकती हूँ, पर जब खुद पर आती है बात, then I think, who knows how anyone would behave.
Yes, you're absolutely right when it comes to this point. ये जो character के साथ हुआ in terms of what I want to know कि, of course, nothing like that touchwood has happened in your real life, but I'm pretty sure you must have had your own, downs, where, you might have had those areas of confusion, and you don't know, you're vulnerable, you are having contemplations, yaar, kahan se niklu, how do I become? How have you handled those situations in real life? If you can just tell us a bit.
Of course, even I've gone through those periods of confusion, and I've kept secrets, but I've realized that secrets are a huge burden to carry. And I think over the years, I've started becoming more and more and more honest, only because I feel that's an easier way to live. Otherwise you just, aap chupte kab tak chupenge? Not that, like you said, thankfully nothing big has happened in my life, but the smallest of things. But I've realized that it's far easier to lead an honest life, even if you're saying something that's hurtful to the other person, even if you're revealing a secret that could destroy a relationship, you'd rather do that. And if the relationship is strong enough, it will withstand that revelation. If it's not, then it will fizzle away. But all this realization only comes with experience, and but I think it's very scary when you go through that sort of ethical dilemma that Maya Menon goes through. Because who is to say any of us would have behaved differently in that situation? Ek pal mein, in the blink of an eyelid, everything changes, right?
Yes, exactly. Ye jo character hai, you have been playing this, of course. My particular favorite scene, if I have to point out, which really gave me goosebumps quite literally, was that scene where you came back to your car and you were howling literally when you had that self-realization that what exactly happened. My life is crashing. What I want to know from your end, what was the most, I would say, intimidating scene or sequence that had a huge toll on your mind? Because there are certain scenes, certain sequences which are really, really dark and difficult to kind of absorb. So when you were playing it yourself, I can only imagine how difficult it must have been. Any particular sequence that had a lot of toll on your mind?
Yes, the toughest scene in the film for me was with my son, where he throws a laptop down and I ask him to pick it up. And then I say some very brutal things out of my frustration and fear. And he doesn't know that. But, of course, you don't hear it in the film because Suresh has used music. Because when you don't hear it, sometimes the impact is even bigger. You imagine all kinds of things, right? So I think it's very powerful the way he's used music. But I think that was the toughest scene. For me, on set, I had to mouth it, to say those things to that boy. It was heartbreaking. I broke down after the scene.
How good was he? How good was he, in fact, when it comes to playing that special character?
He is a boy with cerebral palsy.
I think that takes a lot of efforts.
And he is a very good actor. He's never faced the camera before this. But he was so easy, and the way he responded to everything, it's almost like acting is instinctive for him.
Yes. That showed as well on camera, that showed as well. Last question before you are yet to embrace, motherhood in real life. We'll see whenever that happens. But, there are certain cues to pick up about motherhood from this movie. Did you kind of take any cues about motherhood from this way, the way Shefali played her character, the way you yourself played your character?
Mothers are fiercely protective of their children. Most mothers are fiercely protective of their children, but mothers are also human beings. And they are not perfect. Sometimes they get angry, sometimes they're frustrated, sometimes they get angry at their children, sometimes they take out their frustration on their children. It's also, I think, somewhere, a lot of times it also stems from the fear for their children. I think so this understanding is what I take back from the film.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking once again. My pleasure once again. Thank you so much. I've already seen the movie, so I don't have to say कि मैं देख के आपको बोलूँगा. I wish you all the best. I hope the audience also loves it equally well, like the way me and all the others who have seen it, they have loved it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Lots of love. Thank you.
God bless you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care. Bye.